In 1954, one of the last of the classic Universal monster movie villains was unleashed to the public in a Jack Arnold film called Creature from the Black Lagoon. The story revolved around something being discovered deep in the Amazon that was believed to have hailed all the way back from the Devonian period. This monster was amphibious in nature and would even have some behavior that seemed to be inspired by King Kong to some degree. It would show up in a trilogy of movies, but also wound up being reimagined in the 1980s, which is the incarnation of the monster that I wanted to go over today. What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about a monster that I think is definitely one of the most gnarly things to come out of genre movies from the 1980s. The updated look of the Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1987's The Monster Squad is a wildly nightmarish and insanely detailed practical effects monster that I personally think is one that modern horror movies could learn an awful lot from. Even though as recently as 2017 we got another update to this style of creature with Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water, you just can't beat the work done by Stan Winston in the 80s. You can tell right off the bat that this thing has been redesigned from the ground up to retain some of that 1950s look from the original film, but it's also given way more menace and a darker design that I think suits it extremely well. Now, this creature is known as the Gillman, and for the redesign, Stan Winston's effects crew actually gave it a bunch of fangs and weirdly placed teeth to really create more of a monstrous feel and less of that of a human one when compared to the original. Of course, they did this sort of cool retake on all of the classic Universal monsters in the Monster Squad movie, but it's Gillman that I think had the most creepy upgrade. When it comes to taking something like the Creature from the Black Lagoon and stylizing him in a more frightening manner, Stan Winston's team just knocked it out of the park for this movie. And I honestly wish we had a whole remake trilogy of the creature's 50 stories, but he only showed up here briefly for this film. Just imagine what it would have been like, though, to have an entire trilogy of remakes from the Creature from the Black Lagoon stories, and with this monstrous look. Now, that's something that I think would have been extremely cool to see in the 80s. Now, there were a lot of great guys working on this movie, but I want to focus on Tom Woodruff Jr., who would actually be the man to play Gillman in his first feature performance as a creature in the film. And look, he has a long list of special effects credits ranging from movies like Alien 3 and Mortal Kombat, all the way to newer films like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Godzilla vs. Kong. Character design was done by Matt Rose and Steve Wang, who you guys may just remember helped make the Guyver movies, which I already covered on this channel before in the past. Those are really good, so this group obviously knew what they were doing. The Gillman suit in this movie was somewhat similar to the Wolfman's, only obviously more sleek to suit the creature. And by the way, there was also a mechanical head built to help really sell the weirdness and alien nature of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which goes a long way in making it look so cool in the finished product. When it comes to designing gnarly monsters, you really couldn't do any better than a group of guys like this, who were consistently, and I mean that, consistently designing iconic creatures in their heyday, from the Alien Queen to the Predator, and eventually the dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park movies. I just think that when it comes to the Gillman, this nightmarish redesign of the Creature from the Black Lagoon in the Monster Squad is something that I really think could have carried its own franchise had it been given proper remakes like what they did with The Blob and The Fly. I could even see this thing taking on Freddy Krueger in a Nightmare on Elm Street sort of situation, but unfortunately, we never really got to see it do much outside of that little movie. And in my opinion, monster fans everywhere should get this kind of cool work in modern movies, no matter what the cost might be. We often don't, but we very well could if the right studio and leadership wanted to go for it. And I think the fact that we're still talking about these special effects decades later is a good sign that they should go back to that. I've talked about a lot of monster movie trivia and horror reviews like this before in the past, but hey, what do I know?